What's up, witches and warlocks? How do you feel when you're all alone? How about outside? Dare I ask about when you're out in the woods?
Ooh.
We can't help but all feel a little anxious when we're out in a big open space with no one around for miles. But we sure hope you can handle talking about it. I'm Kate.
And I'm Nat.
And this is Wading into the Void, Haunted Forests Edition. There's no making you wait to find out what this one's about today. We're going to be covering some spookalicious, haunted, and horrific forests.
Woo!
It's been a long time since the two of us did a combo episode, literally since episode 3, and we wanted to tag team one for you all.
That was our cemeteries?
Yeah,
Oh,
episode
damn.
3.
Damn.
But you see, we kept going back and forth on whether to do another part of Haunted Cemeteries, but we both decided that we wanted to branch out a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
And expand the mini-series.
I feel like you guys could hear my eye roll.
Don't worry. There will definitely be another part to Haunted Cemeteries. How could there not be?
True.
But, like I said, we were thinking of topics we really enjoyed covering and brainstorming some, hint, hint, Halloween-specific content, and it hit us like a ton of bricks.
Mm-hmm.
We needed to do an episode covering haunted forests.
Of course.
When we covered the Pine Barrens, which was all the way back in episode 4. So if you haven't listened to that one, go and do it.
It has our beautiful favorite emo boy. The
Yes,
Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil. But there was just this humongous, ominous, dark vibe that was just over the entire forest. And we're sure that, that same feeling could be applied to other forests across the world. And boy, oh boy, were we right.
Mm-hmm.
And, a quick PS before we move on. I just want to shout out anyone who's stuck with us as the show's expanded and evolved. The quality of those first 15 episodes or so before we were able to get better equipment, like these lovely new mics, the quality wasn't that great. We sounded like we were underwater or 15 feet away from the microphone. So a huge thank you to anyone listening to us.
Seriously.
And those who stuck with us.
It's crazy. Okay, so I don't want to skip ahead or anything, but I just went on a trip. I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I downloaded all of our episodes to listen to on the airplane, and I listened from episode 1 until episode 10, and it is just
it's a roller coaster.
It is crazy. Episode 4 is the worst quality. I'm so sorry. It really is.
The worst quality, but one of the best episodes.
It was so funny, but it sounds like we're rolling around in a rock tumbler. It's so good, though. So listen to it, regardless.
Look how far we've come.
Yes, listen to this episode, and then go listen to that, and then listen to a newer one again. And you'll appreciate the quality, because it's certainly improved. And hopefully this one sounds even better, because we've been playing with the settings on the microphones and OBS and stuff, so...
Yes.
Okay.
And, anyone that's starting with this episode, if you go back and listen to older ones, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But I think you can appreciate it.
Now you know.
You can appreciate it. Because I recently went back to Let's Talk About Myths, Baby, which is one of my favorite podcasts. It's all about Greek mythology, some Roman mythology, stuff like that.
We love it.
And I started from the beginning for her. So I didn't get the benefit of listening to what she sounds like now because I didn't want to spoil it for myself. So I started at the beginning with her, much like a lot of our listeners have, who have been with us from the beginning. But it's so interesting to like travel and evolve with the people creating.
Yes.
And
that's how it was for me and the Morbid Girls.
Yes.
Like when I first started listening to Morbid, I think they honestly had like nearly 100 episodes out.
Yeah.
But I started from episode 1, and very similar to us, they sounded like they were underwater. And like listening to them now, seeing their numbers now, it's just nuts.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it was so interesting because I was hearing her talk about her writing her books, and I already own her books. They're already published and everything.
Yep.
It's just so
and hopefully
interesting.
That's what I'm like.
Yeah, I'm like, I can see this being us. It's so positive.
Fingers crossed. I sure hope so.
Yeah. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Yes. So I really just want to dive right in and get to it, but we of course have a tarot reading and a few positives to share before we, actually do the damn thing. So, Nat, would you like to go first? One positive.
Yes, I kind of mentioned it already, but I just came back from vacation, and it was awesome. I went to Las Vegas. I did so much stuff.
You can't tell us about it.
Why? Oh. Well,
what happens in Vegas?
I didn't do
stays
anything
in Vegas,
crazy.
Baby.
Okay, listen, I got motorboated twice and I got my ass slapped, but I'm pretty sure they're paid to do that to people. So
that's what you get when you go to Thunder from Down Under, mate.
Yeah. So I wasn't going out there and doing crazy shit. We couldn't even get into a club because they thought our Vermont IDs were fake. I was like, Sir,
where's Vermont? Is that in New York?
Yeah, I don't know. But
the number of time out-of-staters ask that is appalling.
But I had an awesome time. It was so relaxing. I caught up on my sleep. I read 3 books and started a 4th. I finished the 4th book like a day after I got home. And I'm on my 5th book, which it looks like it's just 1 book, but it's actually 3 books in one. Like I bought
like a compendium.
Series, and it's a digital book, so that'll be like fucking 7 books if I finish that.
Immersed.
And then I bought 2 other books, and I pre-ordered 2 books. I'm on my book phase again.
I see that.
It's an ebb and a flow with me. Either I don't read anything, or I'm reading a whole book every single day. Yeah. Like I can't. It's either it has my entire focus or none of my focus. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. I got issues. Anyways.
Well, speaking of books, we can move on to my positive. As you guys know, I'm writing my book. And I have Nat beta reading and my friend Lindsay, who also listened to the podcast, beta reading as well. And I'm finally on, I believe, chapter 5.
Oh my goodness.
I've been writing up a storm.
Yeah, you're on fire.
I'm pretty happy with myself.
I can't wait to...
Nat's gonna go read the latest and greatest
and roast
tonight.
the shit out of it. No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty much.
No.
But, hey.
No.
Totally fine. Stepping stones,
I don't think I said anything bad when I first read it.
You're like, you need more detail.
I was like,
and I'm
this
like,
bitch has no personality. Let's go. Make her sassy. Sass it up.
And I was like, fine, I'll pop off.
And then she did, and it was amazing. So...
It's that tentativeness, you know? But hit me with our readings for today.
Okay. Let me put this.
Okay. Lil Jon.
Yeah. Okay, anyways.
For all our, early Gen Zers and late millennials out there.
True. Okay, so we are switching it up completely in this episode. For real.
Yes.
We are going back to... Hang on. We are going back to 2 decks that we have only used like once each, I think. So, for the Oracle, we are doing the Earth Power Oracle by Stacey DeMarco, who also does the Goddesses and Sirens Oracle deck. And I was just telling Katie, maybe I'll think about getting the Gods and Titans ones, but gods are kind of misogynistic assholes, so...
And just cruel, so
True.
let's stick with those ladies.
All right, well, so today, the Earth Power Oracle card, brought us to a place called Palenque.
Palenque?
Have you ever heard of this place?
Nope.
Okay. So Palenque says, I have a personal relationship with my patron guides. I am the result of love throughout the ages. I'm awakened to my own value and purpose. So the key energies for this card is purpose, self-worth, generational love, divinity, and time. The GPS location is north 17 degrees, 28 feet, 59.988 inches, and west 92 degrees, 2 feet and 60 inches.
So for any map makers,
cartographers,
and sailors out there, that's for you.
So the location is in Chiapas, Mexico. And the primary element is earth and water. So we all know before I even go into this whole spiel, this is going to have a lot of random information. It doesn't really say much.
Yeah.
The key energies and the little quote from the beginning are like the most that it's probably actually going to give you. But here's the description of Palenque. Located in the green heart of a wet tropical jungle, Palenque is perhaps one of the most studied of all Mayan sites. A prime example of a Mayan sanctuary of the classical period, Palenque was at the height of influence between 500 AD and 700 AD, when its power extended throughout the basin of the Usumacinta River. I think I said that right. Maybe.
Usumacinta River.
Okay. Whilst each building is an artwork on its own and a place of power, the totality of the site and not just the individual buildings should be taken into account when assessing the energy here. The way that the energy flows, that of the sun, animals, water, and the genus loci, is not just around one building, but around the whole site. Imagine how the people themselves felt about walking through or living with such buildings and artwork. It's a yawn Nat day. The images offered by the king to his subjects was an important way of communicating. The concepts of the Mayan calendar, ancestor veneration, and notion of patron gods, and the experience and description of rites of passage are just a few of the communications here. The first Jah, or king, of Bacal that we know of was Kukbalam Kezal Jaguar, whatever that means, I don't know, who governed for 4 years starting in the year 431 AD, and many came after him. We now know that the temple complex was used for a variety of purposes, including funerary ones. The Temple of Inscriptions, which begun as early as 675 AD, for example, was thought to be a temple used for rites, but also the funerary monument of Henab Pakal. It is also theorized that the sun wakens his body at certain solstice times. Interesting. In the last 15 or 20 years, a great deal more of the site has been excavated, but currently, archaeologists estimate that only 5% of the total city has been uncovered. We know that the buildings have so far been uncovered, such as the Temple of the Cross, Sun, and Foliated Cross, and the Palace, are incredibly impressive and graceful as architecture was an important symbol of Mayan power and religious ritual. The art within the temples, the many bas-reliefs and paintings. Do you remember bas-reliefs from social studies in middle school? when we
Yes.
talked about Mesopotamia.
I do. How much did I retain?
Just enough to remember the word. Paintings gave a rich indication of how the Mayans saw death, power, birth, and human sacrifice. It is clear from a number of the paintings that children and adults were sacrificed to enliven talismaniac objects and invoke deities long enough for petitions to be answered. Blood sacrifices is a key part of Mayan ritual and cosmology. So, when you visit, Miss Stacy DeMarco says, this is a multi-day site, so take your time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole civilization. So
As well as visiting the quote-unquote big sites, make sure you look out for the smaller Temple of the Skull and Temple of the Jaguar. Walk the site consciously. Climb the stairs consciously. Feel the ancient power of this place still breathing along with you.
I like.
You know, I wonder if she's traveled to all these places. It's so okay.
I have
So
no idea.
let me read this real quick. Stacy DeMarco is a pagan and an eco-activist who is passionate about bringing the practical magic of nature to everyone, especially those who sit in offices all day. I kind of love her. Look at her.
I gotta be honest, I didn't expect her to be a white blonde lady.
I did. I don't know why, but I did. Like, I could tell what she looked like before even looking at that picture. Not that that's a bad
My
thing.
sight was not that.
Not that that's a bad thing. I could just picture her being a blonde.
I like her
Although
message.
I imagined her having shorter hair, like a bob. She has like a long. It's like a really long hair.
She does.
Maybe it's short now.
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay, so
Hit us with the next one.
that was the Oracle, and so now going to our tarot, we are going back to a deck that I used in the 5th episode and never again. We are going back to the Mystical Dream Tarot by Janet
All right.
Pidolato. I think that's...
Hello, Janet Pidolato.
And so today we got the 4 of Swords. And honestly, this picture is fucking insane. This gives me like Jesus resurrection vibes. Like there's like a figure standing in the middle of the card with a giant mountain behind them. And there's a star at the top of the mountain. And it looks like electricity is coming off of it around the mountain, down the giant bridge that the person's standing on, and down into a little tunnel at the base of it. Like how Jesus was in his crypt.
Oh.
It looks like Jesus. Look.
It does.
It does. Okay, so let's read what the 4 of Swords represents in the Mystical Dream Tarot. So, this card displays the secret place within. Woman's... No, that did not say woman's. It says wisdom's abode. The house of many rooms. Which, that's crazy. Oh my god, I'm getting so many God vibes from this. Because I remember when we were kids, I used to go to church for Sunday school. And we sang this song called My Father's House. It's my father's house. And you can throw a football. My father's house. You could throw a football.
Okay.
It was like there's a table with lots and lots of food, a big, big house. It's my father's house.
Please stop.
It's about God and heaven, I think. I don't remember. But this card is giving me those vibes. So, anyways, Katie's like horrified. I broke out into Christian songs. She's like, oh my God, who is this?
I'm just lost.
Oh my god. Okay. It is a place we cannot find on the physical plane, an interior dwelling that demands service, dedication, and sacrifice to gain entrance. We are called to the secret place when we were invited to take a spiritual pilgrimage, a lifelong journey devoted to the sacred source of all being. When we accept
Okay,
this
it's
vocation,
Jesus.
yeah, right? This is super Jesus-y. When we accept this vocation, we journey to our beginning, the place of our origin. We open to a mystical or near-death experience. We become forever changed by our visionary encounter. After the sorrow and loss of the previous card, the seeker now arrives. Where the fuck did that just go? The seeker now arrives at the welcoming entrance to this pilgrim's retreat. There is no communication with the outside world. All ties with family and friends are broken as the seeker becomes a pilgrim, a resident within the hermit's cell. There is nothing but the seeker and the burdens they bring with them. The cell feels like a prison as the view is entirely upon the burdens, the sorrows, and the truth of a personal existence which is naked from all comforts. The seeker has nothing left to lose. All is gone. The time within the secret place is one of contemplation, of sorrow, and of restoration. The seeker needs to heal and reflect. Awaiting the inner light of vision, healing will come but in its own time. So, did I pull this reversed? Is the question.
I don't know.
I feel like I might have, so I'll read both of the things just in case.
Okay.
Just in case anyone's feeling one way or the other about this card. So, in a reading, the regular upright position means time to go within to a place of isolation, withdrawal, and retreat. Visionary, mystical, or near-death experiences lead to new perceptions. Illness awaits healing. Silence and solitude, meditation, and the lonely road beyond sorrow. And now, reversed, this means after sorrow, the transition quickly opens to transformation and harmony. Compassionate friends help facilitate healing. So, there's that. What do you think, Katie?
If I'm being honest, I think I did not retain much of that.
Yeah, that was all way too much information.
That was way too much for tonight, but appreciative of the authors for making the deck.
Of Janet and Stacy. We love you for putting your shit out there for the world.
And I'm sure if it wasn't 9:30 at night, maybe we would have comprehended that a bit better. It's finally time to share what forests we've both chosen.
Yeah.
I have a few, and so does Nat. But who should go first?
You. No, I think Katie should go first because I just read like 12 million pages of tarot.
Fair enough. I'll go first. So, for this first one, we are staying in the United States.
Okay.
And we'll be journeying to Cameron Park, Texas. More than 100 years ago, the Cameron family, who resided in good old Waco, Texas. Everything happens in Waco.
Shout out to Uncle Ben and the Urban Rescue Ranch at Waco, Texas. Yes, this is the second time I've got to shout them out. Makes me so happy. I'm like literally cheering with my arms above my head.
You are. She's like fist pumping. It's a sight.
I love Uncle Ben. Okay, sorry.
So like I said, more than 100 years ago, the Cameron family, who resided in Waco, Texas, wanted to provide a gift to their community. And they did this in the form of donating a small 400 acres of their land so a park could be built near downtown.
400 acres?
400 acres.
I just spit everywhere.
The chunk of land that they donated included 2 natural rivers and a few beautiful cliffs.
Damn.
Today, it's where city dwellers escape their everyday busy lives and the perfect place for hiking, biking, fishing, and even disc golf. So if you like disc golf, this could be the place for you. This area, despite its glory, isn't excluded from a ghost story or two, though. According to a local legend, at one point in time, 2 indigenous tribes laid claims to the land. Of course, they both couldn't possess the land. It had to be, one or the other. They refused to share. Consequently, they entered into a long-standing war. Eventually, a girl from one tribe and a boy from the other met accidentally and fell in love with one another.
Romeo and Juliet?
A little Romeo and Juliet-esque story, if you will.
I totally broke what you were about to say.
No, I think it's good.
We got the same
we're
vibe.
All picking up on this fact, yes. So they were hopeful that their families, would overcome their differences by accepting and acknowledging their love. But, their dreams couldn't have been any more misplaced. Their families were furious, to say the least, and ordered them not to see one another again.
Sorry. I really want to interrupt and say a funny thing about Romeo and Juliet, the play. Do you know that one part where is it Romeo or somebody's like, "What, you egg?" stabs?
Isn't that like Marcus or something?
Whoever.
He's like the bestie.
What's the... It's like Montesquieu? No, I don't know. Montague, something like that. One of the dudes gets stabbed in the armpit and dies.
And he's like, "You egg!"
"What, you egg?" Stab. Okay, sorry, continue. That just makes me giggle every time I think about it.
Like we just said, their families were furious, to say the least, and ordered them not to see one another again.
Boo.
And, the pair came to the conclusion that they would rather die than be apart. So they snuck off in the middle of the night, approached one of those many beautiful cliffs, and jumped to their deaths hand in hand. Today, people report seeing their spirits.
You know what?
Now, before we move
That's
on
pretty sweet.
To the next location, I'm going to share a sighting from a man named Seth.
Okay, what's this?
And the story is called Taking an End of the Day Stroll. We were undergoing budget cuts at work, and I was incredibly stressed at this time. He recalled. I took to walking in the park for a half hour before succumbing to rush hour each evening. It was the only way I was cheerful while at home with my family, he said with a small grin. Anyway, one night I was by the cliffs, thinking about our accounting department, when I heard someone sigh right beside me. I looked around, but nobody was near me whatsoever. I was about to play it off as just being my imagination when I heard the same voice, only this time it was singing. I started looking behind trees and bushes, searching for whoever was messing with me, but nobody was there. I turned back to the cliff when I saw the strangest apparition ever. Glinting in the sun, I saw 2 hands intertwined, hovering over the edge of the cliff. I took a step closer, and that's when the 2 hands suddenly jolted up in the air and then over the edge, still holding on to each other. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. When I went home that night, I had dreamt about a Native American couple in love. I saw that standing in Cameron Park, and I knew it was them. Their hands that I had witnessed earlier in that day. Now, every day when I'm in Waco, I make sure to say hello to them when I travel past the park.
Oh, that's sweet.
So that one's just a nice, good old feel-good little story. But that's all I have for Cameron Park, Texas.
That was
I wanted to
good.
start
I
it
love
off
that
a
one.
little light before we drive into some,
Oh my
maybe a
God!
little harsher things.
So, how do I want to do this? I have one that doesn't really have much information and two that have, like, stories and stuff.
Hit us with that lack of info first.
Okay. So, the first one I'm starting with is Angelina National Forest in Tennessee. So, back in the...
we're keeping with those southern
Yeah.
states.
I always have to do Tennessee, North Carolina, Massachusetts, like, all of those places. Florida.
Yes.
Those places are just where either I live or I'm around or my friends live there. So I'm like, ooh, they might enjoy this. But back in the early 1900s, Angelina National Forest was home to a thriving sawmill town, and they had over 1,000 people. And for some reason,
that's actually
you know
huge
what?
for that time.
You know what?
Isn't
I
it?
feel like this is kind of a common thing. Do you remember that movie Dale and Tucker versus Evil? Did you ever watch that?
I saw trailers. I never.
It's
fully
about
watched it.
crazy hillbillies or something. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. But it has to do with, like, a sawmill and stuff. And I feel like that's just kind of a trope that sawmills get abandoned and haunted. Like, that's a wicked trope. Like,
that is a trope.
And unfortunately for the Angelina National Forest sawmill town, it follows this trope. And this mill was a beacon for disaster. And it got hit by a hurricane in 1911, and then it got a fire in 1914. Jesus. Residents abandoned the area and left behind this tiny little ghost town. So, like, this is really early. Like, this is such a long time ago that this was abandoned. Yeah. And the abandoned site itself is pretty eerie. But there started to pop up little rumors about some paranormal things happening in the sawmill town.
Oh no, not the rumor mill.
The rumor mill about the sawmill. So hikers have claimed to hear the disembodied screams of a young woman, a former resident of the town who was killed in a freak accident while visiting her boyfriend at the sawmill. And a few people have even spotted her ghost wandering around the dilapidated mill. So imagine in early 1900s, like, that's like what is even going on in the early 1900s?
Jesus.
You're a little lady who is just going to visit her little sweetheart, and he works at the sawmill.
I'm trying to think early 1900s USA. So that's like...
It's like right before the Roaring 20s. So it's probably pretty similar to the late, like, 1800s. Like, still...
No, the 19th...
Really?
Did you say 19th century?
No, I said 1900.
Oh, I was thinking in my head 19th century. So I'm like, damn, we're in the 1800s.
No.
But
1900s, and it was abandoned in after 1914.
So that makes more sense.
So it was like literally...
It's before you have that like huge industrial boom.
Yeah.
Like in the major cities,
this
you know?
is such a weird little town. It's like probably very...
Kind of before its time.
It's probably like a little Western and industrial mixed together is probably what it... And it's Tennessee, so it's like, you know...
So I'm imagining like kind of like gold mining.
Yeah, but sawmill, because it's in a forest, so it's like their natural resource.
Yes.
So imagine you're just going to visit your little boyfriend or whatever, like you're thinking about marrying this guy. You show up and you're like, hey Luke, I brought you a lunch, we're gonna kiss and be cute, and then I'll let you finish your job. And then oop, my skirt gets caught in the sawmill blade and fucking swoop, and my entire legs are gone. And I don't know if that's what happened to her, but I imagine she got caught in a sawmill blade.
Well, yeah.
Like, I imagine she got locked in like a log and just went... Yeah.
Right through, yeah.
I feel like her name is like
Sorry
Susie or
visual.
something. She gave me Susie vibes. Susan.
Yeah. Don't bring my grandmother into this.
Not Susie Sunshine! This is way before her time. Anyways, that's all I had.
Well, honestly, not really. I'm pretty sure she was born in like the 40s, so.
That's like 25 years before her. That's a whole ass person that could have birthed her. Yeah, okay.
Pish posh.
All right, go to your next one.
Are you sure you're ready for it?
I'm not, but let's go. If you break out some crazy shit, I'm leaving. I'm walking out.
So my next one happens to be outside of the United States. We are traveling to the Black Forest in Germany.
I have to tell you something before you tell the story.
Yes.
Okay, one of my favorite amusement parks is Busch Garden in Virginia. And Busch Garden is country themed. So you have like Germany, Paris, whatever. And my favorite roller coaster from Busch Gardens is Verbolten, which is you are in a 1950s like convertible speeding through the Black Forest that was, I think chemicals made all of the trees in the forest turn alive and crazy, attacking you. But it is so cool. You start the ride, you fly into this tunnel, and 90% of the ride you are in this tunnel. And it is like bright neon lights, and you can see the forest like moving and stuff. And then all of a sudden, the forest turns into a giant face and like screams at you. And the entire roller coaster drops. Like, I don't even know. How do you explain this? It drops in the tracks, in spot. Like, it drops like 5 feet without moving. Like, it just drops.
I think you just described it.
And then it speeds out at like 77 miles an hour. It's great. It's the best.
That's some good engineering right there.
It's crazy. Like, you literally, it's like you fall off a fucking cliff. I don't know. Anyways, continue.
We love it.
I'm on my crazy-ass manic shit today. My eyes are like bugging out of my head.
The Black Forest, or I'm going to do my absolute best here with the German pronunciations. Schwarzwald encapsulates a large area of Germany, including Baden-Württemberg, Karlsruhe, and Tribeck.
Okay.
It has played inspiration to stories like The Brothers Grimm,
I love
Hansel
Brothers
and
Grimm
Gretel,
fairy tales.
and Rapunzel.
Ooh.
It's filled with hiking trails, beautiful lakes, supposedly filled with water nymphs, and known for its daring adventures such as treetop climbs or mountainside alpine coasters. Now, there are a lot of tales surrounding the Black Forest, but I'm only going to share 2 of my favorites and the ones I consider to be the most spooky. So the first one I'm going to go over is the legend of Fremersberg Mountain.
Okay.
According to my sources, a small Franciscan monastery was located at the southern slope of Fremersberg Mountain from 1426 to 1826.
That's a weird time frame.
It's a long time frame.
Yeah.
That's 400
years. Yeah.
The monks that lived at this monastery were concerned with the spiritual health of the people and the land and focused heavily on maintaining earthly peace.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh.
They went as far as to ensure that no misguided activity took place on the mountain. When ghosts raised ruckus on the mountain and caused villagers to be fearful and anxious, when ghosts raised ruckus on the mountain and caused villagers to be fearful and anxious, The monks would catch anyone they deemed troublemakers or people who were spreading fear, put them in sacks, carried them to quote-unquote poltergeist graves, and banished their souls for all eternity.
Wait, so they buried these people alive?
That's what I gather from that.
That's what it fucking sounds like. Oh no, not the monks who wanted to maintain earthly peace. What? I was so on board for it.
They had their own way of doing so.
Oh man, no, they're straight up thugs.
They're like, yup, you're going in the ground.
You laughed too fucking loud. Ground, buried, dirt.
But honestly,
death.
I've never heard of a German monk, so
Me
like...
neither. I'm so confused.
Maybe
Well,
they
whatever.
have their own thing going over there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
My other tale is the myth of the village Ittersbach. In 1232, a man named Hermann Margrave of Baden gave his villages, now known as Ittersbach, over to Convent St. Gallen. The settlement suddenly and mysteriously disappeared, which the cause is unknown. It could have been
What?
war, plague, or famine. And so, you know, I'm getting German Roanoke vibes immediately.
I was just thinking that as like Roanoke. We should do
Now,
an
and-
episode about Roanoke. Sorry.
I like that idea. Roanoke, Croatoan, Croatoan.
Oh my.
Now, there isn't much really that I got on this other than I was just like, I like it. Because it said that now, at midnight, during Advent, a homeless... A homeless
horseman.
It is said that now at night, during Advent, a headless horseman on a white steed gallops through the cemetery and over the terrain of the destroyed village.
Do you think that was inspiration for Sleepy Hollow?
I wonder, honestly. I mean, Sleepy
It's
Hollow
very-
has its own, like, spooky, like,
I mean, the
macabre
guy's name
vibes,
is
but
Ichabod. What, like, race is that? That sounds kind of
Ichabod
German.
Crane.
Ichabod Crane? Let's see.
Honestly, it does sound like it could be German. At least Ichabod.
Ichabod is a Germish?
A Germish name. German name. Yeah, they very well could have.
Is
like,
it? I don't know. German English dictionary is what it's saying, but it said Jewish.
Okay, but I'm about to split some
Hebrew?
history facts for you right
Actually.
now, okay? So, Sleepy Hollow is in the state of New York.
Is it really? We
Yes,
should go.
but the state of New York used to be known as New Amsterdam. So, it was settled by Jewish and German citizens, and it very well, that tale could have been carried over. Like we
makes
said,
sense.
this was in the
Yeah.
12th.
This is like our
Hundreds.
fucking Pangea calculations with the fucking animals. That was crazy.
Sleepy Hollow is really Ittersbach Hollow.
Yeah.
But that's really all I have. It was just some, like, I thought it would be interesting to go Germany. The story with the monks was just, like, a little wacky, a little crazy. And I wanted to do it. So what do you have for me next?
This is a pretty popular one, but it's not as popular as Black Forest. That's for sure. So this is the Devil's Tramping Ground in North Carolina. North Carolina, honestly, has all the crazy shit in it.
They had
They
a
have
good
the
cryptid,
best
didn't they?
cryptids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the best cryptids. They have this, and then there was something else that I don't remember. So, let's see. Let me go to this one. Okay, so have you heard of the Devil's Tramping Ground before? I have. Yes. Okay. So, basically, all it is just a barren spot in the fucking forest, and people shit their pants over it.
Okay.
So, there's been so many different explanations about this place, but let's see. there's a barren patch in the woods. And supposedly there's, like, indigenous people stories, there's, like, urban legends, there's all types of different explanations and stories about what could have possibly caused this big area to be completely barren of grass, trees, anything.
Yep.
So, let me see if I can find where it... So, it is a mysteriously shaped circle. There, like I said, there's no plants, no trees, no animals enter the area.
So strange.
It's a 40-foot clearing. And it is said that the devil comes and stomps around and dances every night. At least according to the local legends. And
he just wants to get jiggy with it.
Well, this is funny because I was reading into the reason why it got its name specifically. And well, I guess I'll explain that first and then I'll tell you the other things that seems pretty cool about it.
Okay.
So it is named by or through Scot-Irish tradition. Okay. And so in Scottish Irish tradition, whatever that is, something, the devil is a really complicated character and is kind of seen as like a comic figure. And
they're more scared of the fairies than they are of
the like devil. They see the devil as something that can be outsmarted by mortals and can be easily tricked into using his own powers against himself. So,
yes. Whereas the changelings basically are the complete opposite.
Yeah. So basically, the name comes from when the devil gets tricked by somebody, he stomps around like a little chubby baby, angry, having a tantrum, and that's basically like what it is.
Leave it up to the Scots and the Irish to be like, yeah, the devil.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Like, I just imagine this guy like, shucks, they stole my fiddle again. And he's like dancing around like, let's go. But the indigenous people of the area had a story that that area was the site of a battle between two rival tribes. Okay. And supposedly the blood of those who were killed soaked the ground so thoroughly that nothing would ever grow there again. And
that's the part that I've heard about this.
The losing tribe fled from the mainland entirely and onto the Outer Banks and became the Croatan tribe that befriended the lost colonists. So, others say that the site is a burial ground of a... What?
The connection's fucking strange. I was literally just like Croatoan.
Yeah, you were. But that's gosh. Weird. That's weird. Others say that the site is a burial ground for a great indigenous chief named Croatan, and that the gods keep the spot barren out of respect. So there's a lot of mixed emotions here. I can see both. But 90% of the time, people think that it is a place that holds negative energy and not so much positive respect. So there's even like UFO sightings and strange radiation that they think caused it from the UFO.
If and I was to lean more towards anything, it would probably be like the dense blood-soaked ground.
Well, listen to this one. So, most recently, a sign was posted at the site renaming the Devil's Tramping Ground as the quote-unquote Chatham County Vortex. Okay. It is. I do see that it is probably a vortex. And it claimed that the site is an anchor for a Magdalene crystal column of energy. And I guess Magdalene energy is the idea that came from England in the past decade. And the theory proposes that the planet is surrounded by a web of divine Mare energy. that is an expression of divine feminine presence. So they try to, this is another Jesus thing, which is weird. They bring up Jesus traveling to the British Isles at some point in his life and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I can see it being a vortex. I don't get on board with that other weird shit, but I could see how it has a lot of energy and is some kind of a vortex. So most of the time it is associated with, yes, positive supernatural forces and negative. So most of the time people think it's negative, but 90% of it might be positive. I don't know. It says both. Like, literally in the beginning, it's like, this place scary as fuck. And then halfway through, it's like positive supernatural forces.
I mean, I feel like, and I'm going to bring it back to the indigenous thing again. Like, their culture is so entwined with the earth. Yeah. And just like this huge sacrifice and loss just in one place, and all of their energy being physically soaked up by the soil. I could see where that would just like create a web of just like non-being. Like it's way too dense spiritually. Yeah. That like people just don't dare enter. Especially the animals, because they're much more sensitive to the whole, you know, spiritual energy thing.
So this is also what it says about that UFO landing. It says that there's a story that the Devil's Tramping Ground could be a site for a UFO landing, and
I like that idea too.
But it says they did a psychological breakdown of why people would say it's from a UFO landing. They said it may be a way of dealing with Cold War anxieties and rapid changes in technology and social structure in the later half of the 20th century. That's so fucking funny.
I love that they relate it to the freaking Cold War.
So basically what they're saying is there's so many stories, and it makes sense why the stories are changing from demons to aliens, because the whole world is changing from like magic to radiation to whatever.
It makes sense.
So it's like, this place is weird, nobody understands it, and so they're gonna continue making stories and legends from it. So
I just love that they're like, yep,
see us
landing,
in like
Cold War, Russia, evil.
Yes. See us in like 50 years. We'll have a story about how AI got rid of the fucking nature in the land. I don't know.
Elon Musk went there and said,
Elon Musk fucking
not grow.
Ooh, and he fucking laser beamed the whole area.
No, that is the area where Elon Musk created the Tesla.
Oh, yeah, that's where he was born. The Tesla gave birth to him and he was born. Yes! Oh, man. All right, let's go to your next one.
All right, this is my last one.
Okay.
And we're going to Texas. Sorry, not Texas. We already been to Texas. We're going to California. Good old Cali. To the Elfin Forest. The Elfin Forest, although sounding mystical, is located southwest of Escondido in San Marcos, California, and is littered with beautiful hiking trails and well-preserved campgrounds. Despite the warm, fuzzy feeling the name might bring, the forest is home to one of the state's most haunted regions. The Elfin Forest is home to hundreds, maybe even thousands, of legends, tales, and paranormal sightings. Some say that when you venture deep into the forest, you'll discover equal parts beauty and danger. You have your, run-of-the-mill ghosts and specters, of course, but there's also an evil witch who is said to abuse her power, and a collection of seers or psychics and occult practitioners live in the area called Harmony Grove inside the forest. Most of the stories from the forest are passed on by them, and, they sure love to tell them. They frequently speak with visitors about the paranormal influence of the land, and it's rumored that they dabbled in darker practices than palm and tarot reading, such as performing seances and disturbing rituals. So I don't know if they jumped up and down on like a pentagram or what they did. Blood sacrifice, who knows? But these rituals would be held at a sacred rock labyrinth in the very heart of the forest. And it said that they would don like white flowing gowns and dance around in this area and like sing songs and hymns and just go crazy. One of the more notable ghosts from within the forest is a proper English gentleman who is seen wearing a traditional stovepipe hat and swinging around a lantern. I guess he lost his way. I couldn't find anything that he was harmful or malicious in any way, but anyone who enters the forest should take caution regardless, as there's an army of ghosts, spirits, poltergeists, and strangely aggressive animals, like the enormous white owl that is said to roam the vast land. Now, before I share a story about a witch with you, I want to tell you about the white owl.
Katie, wait, stop. Before you go into this, are you going to talk about the La Lechuza, the witch owl?
I don't know.
Because this sounds like the witch owl, and I just read a book that had a witch owl in it, and I'm going to fucking cry.
Well, let me read you what I have, and you can determine if this is in fact your witch owl. The white owl is said to stand 10 feet tall on the ground and soar wildly through the skies during the darkest hours of around midnight to 2 a.m. Now, this is actually considered to be a cryptid because of the sheer belief the people in this community have of this being. Apparently, it seeks human prey instead of mice and will rip through the roofs of cars.
So
basically, my worst nightmare.
Yeah, I know. Katie hates birds. But so
especially owls. They shouldn't be able to rotate their head that much.
Okay, owls are adorable, first of all.
No.
But the La Lechuza, or the witch owl, is specifically a white owl and is a bruja, or a witch. That is taken form of an owl, and it is 7 feet tall, wingspan 15 feet, and although it's an owl, sometimes it has the face of a woman. It can morph between a giant owl and like a woman that kind of looks like a harpy. So this is actually crazy, because one of the books that I read on vacation, the main character's mother was a witch owl, and you didn't know. You found out at the end that it was his mom, but the witch owl just shows up and dances and does stuff like does gifts little things to people, at least in this book.
Yeah,
but I imagine a little owl witch lady doing that.
You said it's called La Lechuza?
Yeah.
Well, this is right outside of...
That's what I thought
Escondido.
But it is Southwest California, so
it's like, you have that kind of Hispanic influence, you know?
Yeah, that's why I was like literally mind blown. My hands were going to my head when she was saying it. I was like, oh!
Everything's interconnected.
So cool.
That's all I have to say.
Cool. That is so cool, yeah.
Now, before I wrap up, my last bit of the story, I'm going to share with you the bone-chilling story of the White Witch of Elfin Forest.
All right.
Many years ago, it's said a family of 3 were wandering the woods, exploring and enjoying the day. It was a different time, perhaps a more violent time, and it wasn't all that surprising to the locals when the family didn't come back for days. Finally, just as their friends were starting to be concerned, A lone figure crested a hill and came stumbling down. It was the woman of the family, the wife and mother, recognizable even through the dirt and torn clothes and the look of pure terror in her eyes. Her son and husband had been murdered, she said. They were gone. A group of men had come out of nowhere and simply attacked. She managed to flee the scene, but everyone she loved were ripped to shreds. The townspeople opened their hearts to her and nursed her back to health. Over time, the fear in her eyes changed. It was replaced with cold, hard rage. Spending her days with old books marked with strange characters and her nights meeting with even stranger people from the local indigenous tribes, and further afield, the woman seemed to become a different person. Eventually, she said, she was ready. Dressed in all white, she walked into the woods and was never seen again. Nobody at the time knew that she was ready for. Exactly. They knew getting in her way would only lead to pain, or worse. As the decades and years passed, hikers and campers in the elfin forest reported seeing the ghostly figure of a woman floating through the land. Sometimes she moved impossibly fast, other times achingly slow. Attempting to speak to her was fruitless, as she would simply vanish. But everyone who encountered her everyone who attempting to speak to her was fruitless, as she would simply vanish. But everyone who encountered her soon packed up and left. The place had just gotten creepy, they said. They didn't feel safe. Stories of a white lady are common in ghost lore, and often appear when a murder or suicide has taken place. It seems that this woman may have become one deliberately, seeking revenge on those who killed her family.
This is fucking crazy, dude. This is so crazy. Listen, okay, so the witch owl, or the owl witch, which way did I say it before? I don't.
Witch owl, I think.
Witch owl. So she, if she's in her human form, is normally dressed in white.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, it's a white cape covered in feathers. But this is crazy. I think the White Witch of the Elfin Forest and the giant owl are the witch owl. For sure.
Or at least your author could have taken strong
I'm
influence
wondering,
from this.
So her name is Opal Rain. I wonder if she's maybe from that area of California.
Could be.
Because it's super possible.
Yeah.
That would be so interesting. That would literally make
crazy.
My entire life.
Maybe Opal will listen to this podcast at some point in her life and be like, whoa!
Maybe.
Hit me with your last forest.
Okay, so my last forest, we are going to Massachusetts.
Woohoo!
To Freetown Fall River State Forest.
Okay.
And this place, much like Bennington, has its own triangle.
Lovely.
And the Freetown Forest, or Freetown State Forest, is smack dab in the middle of the Bridgewater Triangle.
Okay.
Which, much like the Bennington Triangle, it is swarming with paranormal activity, roaming specters, UFO encounters, Bigfoot sightings, literally the same thing.
Mm-hmm. The Morbid Girls actually covered the Bridgewater Triangle.
Really?
In one of their episodes.
Okay, so...
And they believe that it is the craziest triangle. They've even covered the Bennington Triangle, and they still think it's superior.
Yeah,
So we might have to duel that one out at some point.
Yeah. This is known as the Cursed Forest of Massachusetts, and it's pretty easy to see why once you kind of go into the lore and history. So it is definitely based more on more than just the rumors and speculation.
Gotcha.
Like, there were crazy fucking murders that happened here.
Okay.
So in November of 1978, the corpse of Mary Lou Aruda was found tied to a tree in the woods. She was a local 15-year-old girl who had recently been abducted from a nearby town, Rynham, just about 2 months prior. And James M. Cater was tried 4 times for the kidnapping and murder and was eventually convicted. He was tried 4 fucking times, and they couldn't get him until the 4th fucking time. Crazy.
Ridiculous.
However, that's not even the creepiest story about these haunted woods. In 1980, the police were investigating a murder near the forest, and they were approached by a number of locals who claimed to have witnessed satanic cult activity in the woods. And you know what? I'm going to stop right now, and I'm going to say this is probably bullshit, because people think Satanists, all they do is do crazy fucking rituals and shit.
In the woods.
Which is not fair to the satanic cult. Because they don't 99.9% of the time do that.
No one says anything to you Catholics when you drink your wine or blood of Jesus.
Some believed that the reports were connected to the so-called Fall River cult killings that occurred during the same period. There were suspicious clearings stained with animal blood that were found in the forest. And very curiously arranged carcasses of cattle were discovered in the woods, and there were so many rumors about ritual sacrifice happening within the forest.
Sounds a little satanic panicky for me.
Yeah, and it is around the time of the Satanic Panic, so 1980s. Yeah, that's like prime time. But in 1987, the forest was also the site of 3 more murders. So there was probably a serial killer in this area that just went unchecked. A homeless man was somehow mistaken as an undercover police officer and was killed in the forest. In 2001.
I'm sorry, how do you mistake a homeless man for an undercover police officer?
Bro was just trying to survive, and they were like, "Hey, are you trying to arrest me, officer?" And he's like, "Brother, I am starving."
Literally.
And they're like, "Gah, gah, gah," and just shoot him.
That's so ridiculous.
So in 2001, 2 men were found riddled with bullets on Bell Rock Road, which winds through the forest. And there have also been numerous assaults reported along the perimeter and along, like, some of the paths.
Yeah.
So that's not even the weirdest shit that's happened, honestly. Some of these other incidents are, like, even more bizarre. In 2006, reports of roving and aggressive dogs plagued the area. And in the same year, an emu escaped and was running around the forest rushing at people.
I would literally just, like, end myself if an emu escaped and was just, like, rushing people, because he would find me.
And then, okay, listen. This is the most fucked up one, I think. Okay, the murders are bad. Those are bad. Yes, cult killings, ritual sacrifice, those are bad. This one's just fucked up. Listen, this is from May of 2016. Somebody put wires stretched across bike paths and trails through the woods. And
did it decapitate people?
So the wires were put there to catch off-road, like, dirt bike riders across the neck.
Like ATV riders.
To decapitate them. So
please tell me it wasn't successful.
It doesn't say that anybody died from it. But I have seen videos of people who have, like, their GoPros and stuff, and they are riding their bikes through the forest, and you can just barely see the light hit on those wires, and they immediately just drop off their bike, because there's nothing you can do. Like, if you keep going, you will get decapitated, or you'll get, like, your jugular slit. Like, people are so fucking evil. That's so fucked up. That's the craziest one. Yeah.
So, where we live, there is quite a bit of sap lines, up on higher parts of the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
And, my family is a family that has four-wheelers and ATVs and, good old Vermont stuff. And I was on my four-wheeler going much faster than I should have. And I went flying through, this field, turned, looked one way. When I looked back, there was a sap line running across the area. And it was perfectly placed at my neck. And I managed to stop just as it was completely pressed against my throat. And I was, being choked because it was, literally wrapped around my throat. I had gotten, so far. And thankfully, I'm quick thinking. And I was, feeling around at the handlebars. Somehow managed to put it in reverse. Go backwards. And I was
that's scary.
Breathing, catching my breath. I totally could have died. Yeah. And when I looked down, the sap wires had gone from straight across to then dragging on the ground. I had pulled them loose that bad.
Holy shit.
It is a miracle I did not die that day. So
that's insane.
That's one hits home a little bit for me.
Yeah, and they have a list of everything that happened, with the supernatural stuff too. So they listed their blood sacrifices, UFOs, ghosts, black helicopters, mysterious orbs of light, strange disappearances, giant snakes, I don't know, poltergeist activity, rumored abductions, and even President Ronald Reagan himself reported seeing strange lights in the sky within the forest. I thought you were going to
say people reported seeing President Ronald Reagan.
No,
and I was I'd be scared too.
But many people believe that the forest exerts a dark influence-y thing that drives people to commit suicide. And older legends say that puckwedgies. Have you ever heard of that? Puckwedgies?
Puckwedgies!
Is that what they're called?
Yes!
What are they're humanoid creatures? Why are you
getting so excited?
From Wampanoag native tradition, and they stalk the woods. Can you explain what those are?
I can't explain much other than in the Harry Potter universe, the Ivermony, one of the houses is the Puckwedgies.
Damn. Well, apparently it's a humanoid creature that may or may not be in this forest. And we already covered Massachusetts, so you'll never know. Just kidding. I'll Google it right now. Well, a lot
of them didn't stem from, indigenous culture. They were just, stories from...
What is a puckwedgie? Oh my god, they look like little gremlins.
Yeah.
They're magical little people of the forest in Algonquin folklore. Similar to gnomes or fairies.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're considered mischievous, but are basically good-natured creatures who just like to play tricks on people and
it's
aren't
literally
dangerous. A gnome. Oh, okay. So yeah, little pixie people.
Yeah.
Little gnome guys.
Wouldn't you just love to be sorted into the Puckwedgie house at Ivermony?
I think I would be a puckwedgie. I'm a little gremlin. I like playing tricks on people.
They're literally the opposite of a goblin in the Harry Potter universe. So, yes.
Sweet. Well, that was a
I'm glad
really
we
good
got
episode.
to tie that in.
Yeah, we had so many different connections.
There's a Harry Potter tie-in.
Oh my god. I don't know how that Harry Potter has that many connections to things in Earth. But
it's magic.
J.K. Rowling really said,
ew, we don't speak her
throw
name.
Everything in, but also she hates everyone, so she can go fuck herself.
Mood.
Anyways.
Well, that, friends, is part 1 of our Frightful Forest miniseries.
Ooh.
We hoped you enjoyed it, and if you have a scary story from a forest near you, you should send it to us to read on a future episode.
Yes, please.
Which you can do by sending it into our email,
wadingintothevoid@gmail.com.
And title it Frightful Forests Listener Stories.
Ooh.
But if you want to chat with us about this or another episode, you can do so by popping on over to our Discord server.
I've been trying to put it into the description of the episodes. I did it for the last one, but
I'll do my best.
we need to get a never expire link and put it on our story and save the story in a highlight.
That's a good idea.
That's what we gotta do to get people to join, because we want to listen to our beautiful friends in our community.
Yes, we do. However, if you want more Wading Into the Void content, you can find it by following us on social media.
Let's go.
You can stay up to date on all upcoming podcast news and help us spread the word about our little show by sharing it with your friends. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at
Wading Into the Void.
And on Twitter at
Wade Into the Void.
Now, what if you're asking yourself, but how can I support the podcast? We have just the solution. You can find us on Patreon.
Oh, I didn't know I had to say something. All you have to do is go to patreon.com or whatever, search in the address bar, Wading Into the Void, and we should be the one and only person that pops up because our name is amazing.
Yes. Or, if Patreon isn't your thing and you use Spotify or Anchor, you can donate to the podcast directly through that platform.
Yes, and so if you use Anchor, you can literally donate on our Anchor page directly. If you use Spotify, in our podcast description, we have the link to our Anchor page to allow for donations.
And those start at like 99 cents a month, so...
Literally so reasonable. 99 cents doesn't mean a lot to some people, but it means a lot to us because it lets us know that you are supporting our passion project. You are supporting our creative outlet. You are supporting our betterment of our lives because honestly, without the podcast, I would probably want to kill myself even more than I already do. Smile.
But that being said, if you don't have 99 cents to give a month,
we're not going to die.
Support us by following us on social media and just listening to the pod.
Exactly. Totally. Tell us what you think, give us a 5-star review. Anything less than that, you come talk to me before you do it. Thanks. Nah, just kidding. Join our Discord. Tell us how you think we can improve. We really want to earn a 5-star rating. I think we deserve it, especially if we're taking constructive criticism. Constructive, not just criticism, first of all. But yeah, no, we want to earn a 5-star rating and we want people to genuinely enjoy and look forward to new episodes. So
on that note, we're going to sign off.
Yes.
Until next time, Phantom Fam, always take a buddy with you when you're exploring the wilderness. You don't know what'll happen. Don't stray from the beaten path. And be sure to get out before sunset. Who knows what lurks in the hour of the owl?
Or the witch owl.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.